I think we are going to start. 13 people already joined. So yeah, welcome to this second Experlogix CPQ partner webinar. My name is Erwin Krijnen, and yeah, thank you for joining this second webinar. If we go to the next slide, let's walk through the agenda. Today we'll do a short introduction. I will tell you a little bit more about the purpose of this webinar. I've asked Sando to give a demonstration, or at least a presentation, about the CPQ implementation process. After that, Arjen Colijn will tell something more about Cloud Connect, our integration platform. Elena will tell something about a customer case study, and I will end with an overview of our events and a small Q&A. So going to the next slide. We have some small house rules, only two. This webinar will be recorded. So after this webinar, we will send this recording to you. So you will receive a link to the recordings afterwards. And if you have any questions during this webinar, please use the Q&A section. At the end of this webinar, we will have a Q&A part where I can go through all your questions and we can ask our people to answer your question. Yeah. Going to the next slide. The purpose of this webinar. The purpose is, of course, to mutually explore the Experlogix ecosystems and tell you how our solutions help you as a partner to close more deals and deliver greater value. Also, we would like to give you some more insights into our product portfolio, but also partner program benefits and go-to-market strategies designed to accelerate your success. Each webinar, we also have a live demo or customer case study. This time we will have a customer case study about a customer called Alpla. And of course, this webinar is an opportunity to connect, stay informed, and discover new ways we can support your growth as a trusted Experlogix partner. Yeah. I also would like to introduce you. You already see our people on the left side. Today's speakers will be Sando Quirijnen. As said, he will tell something more about our implementation process. Arjen will deep dive with you into our, I forgot the name, I'm sorry, Cloud Connect tool. And Elena will deep dive with you into the customer case. Yeah. So now it's time to give the floor to Sando. You're still muted, Sando? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Sando Quirijnen. I'm the Director of Professional Services in EMEA. And Erwin asked me to have a brief talk about our implementation process. So I first start with an overview of the phases, then the approaches which we can take, a brief summary, and then a little bit of sales involvement where you can also see our services team. So first to start with the implementation methodology. We talk about the solutioning phase and the execution phase, where in the solutioning phase, we will try to discover what actually the needs are of our client and partner. So the way we do this is with by means of a workshop, typically 3 days. Sometimes it is faster, sometimes it takes longer, depending on the actual scope of the project. But typically 3 days of interviews where we will touch upon topics like the integration with the hosting system. So where can we get the data from? Where can we query? Where can we write to? So what? How should it look? What are the dependencies of the products or the services which our client is trying to implement? And all this information we've gathered during those workshops, we combine in a solution design or a blueprint, like you may also call it. And next to that, we will write down every requirement in the form of a user story, where we will write the acceptance criteria and the functional and technical high-level explanation of that user story. Those user stories will be estimated with the aim to prepare for the execution phase. Also, in preparation of the execution phase, the software will be installed. So we have a design center where we actually make the model, but also the integration. So the host system should be available at this moment. And if needed, if the client will also take part of the modeling themselves, we will prepare them by the means of a fundamentals training where they will be taught how they need to use our software. Sometimes a framework database or a proof of concept can also be part of the solution phase. It is on request of our client if we do this. It is an optional thing, but also for the buy-in for the more broader range of the company, it can be worth doing. After we get a sign-off of the actual estimation and the user stories, we will start the execution phase. Typically immediately after the solutioning, sometimes a month later, depending on the project flow. But typically we do this with sprints, and our software is really well made for this because we can select a few requirements, build it, demonstrate it, get some feedback, and start the next sprint. So this is a nice approach where people will actually see the solutioning growing in time. Every week there will be a weekly reporting, so on the project status, the budget, some high-level events which occurred, which will be sent to the project manager of the client and of you as a partner. In the end, before go live, we have a UAT, all known with this, I think the user acceptance test, and I mentioned the solutioning training. Worth mentioning, we are not always involved with this, but some of our clients, and I see that this is really a good addition, think about how are we going to train the colleagues on the solutioning. This is also the host, but also CPQ. People will see this new solution most likely for the first time after go live. And if that happens, people are surprised. So solutioning training could be quite nice to include in the timeline as well. Next slide, please. So then on the approaches which we can take to do the actual execution, solutioning remains the same. But in the execution, we have a turnkey approach where the Experlogix experts will implement every requirement which we gathered. Of course, from time to time, there is an alignment needed. Are we on the right track? Are we still happy? Do you see what we are building? But the ownership remains with Experlogix. We will deliver this before the deadline. And then the next slide, please. Another approach is the hybrid approach, and actually the approach which we in general take. On the lower left, you see the light blue part, which is the effort Experlogix is taking, and on the right part, the upper right part, the darker blue, the client is taking. So you see a gradual decline of the effort Experlogix is taking, but of course this balance can shift. But the goal is that it is really a collaboration where the aim is to get the client in the ownership, but we will support this process more thoroughly. Then next slide, please. And then the last approach we can take, also here, Experlogix will not be away during the execution, but the client will actually build this solution themselves. So we will have weekly, bi-weekly, monthly sessions where our experts will advise and guide the modelers, but we will not take actively part of the actual modeling. Especially useful if there are high expertise or high skilled people at the client side, and most important, have the time to actually do it. So these were the approaches we can take. On the next slide, we have a summary. So on the left side, the trainer modeler, like I said, the client will do the work. On the right side, the turnkey Experlogix will do the work, and in the midst, and our recommendation actually is a hybrid approach where we will see how we can balance out the actual workload between the teams and to the needs and requirements of the client. And then at my last slide, as mentioned, not really part of our methodology, but I thought worth mentioning where can we see the professional services team. During the sales phase, we are most often already involved during the ROM of the project. Sometimes there is a pre-scoping call, so we can have a technical architect join calls when there are questions from you as a partner or from the client. This will result in a ROM estimation, which we also will make. And then after the signature of the quotation, the story will start like I mentioned. So solutioning, execution, and then hopefully a good go live. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Xando, for this clear story. If there are any questions about our implementation process or how you should cooperate with us in an implementation process, please feel free to reach out to me or to Xando. And of course, there's still the opportunity to ask some questions in the chat. So I think it's time to go to the next topic then, Arjen. Can you tell us something more about Cloud Connect, please?
Exactly, and that's what I'm here for. So my name is Arjen Colijn. I'm a product owner for the Cloud Connect software, and the Cloud Connect is the term that we use at Experlogix for the integration platform that we've built. My role is a product owner, and once we're not familiar with that term, I feel the best way to mention it is the voice of the customer. As nowadays software develops so quickly and so fast, and the challenge is always what feature to build first and what feature to build first to ensure that the customer gets the maximum value. And that's really where my role is at. If we can go to the next slide. And I click on the button. I like to start with a little bit of history and how it all started. As in, it's a complete cloud platform, which I feel is a big benefit for it. And we only started in February 2022, which is a month prior to me starting. And so we did quite a bit of development. That was the first year. And the first live customer already went live with the software in February 2023, so it's only a year later. So that's the complete build of the software, the implementation of the software at the customer, doing the UAT, what Xando all mentioned, and then go live with the customer. And I feel that's super quick, and it also really proves the Cloud Connect concept. If we click the button again. What did we do afterwards? Because you had the first live customer, and more customers are being added and still are. And really in 2024, we started with more product lines being added to the Cloud Connect integration platform. So like I mentioned, and I was also the first live customer in that February 2023 was a CPQ customer, and that's what we're all here for. But nowadays, both the digital commerce product line and document automation as well are using our integration software to connect to various platforms. So even more customers on the platform. That's what it is. If we go, I would like to tell a little bit about the why of the software. So why did we pick this, and why is it a real need for us as Experlogix? Flexibility. Xando mentioned the whole rollout of CPQ and how that all works and how the implementation goes. But really what you see during the execution phase, that there are additional fields, additional tables that you want to write it to. And while implementing a CPQ solution, the thing you don't want to say continuously then, no. As in, we want to have a solution which we could adapt, and when the customer comes to us and say, we want to write to the following field or table, then we can say yes to that, and it's just configuration that is needed to achieve it. So that's first why, flexibility. Next up is performance. I feel the architecture that we picked for this framework is a single document, and a single document containing all sorts of instructions. So there's no continuous chatter between us being CPQ or Cloud Connect and what Xando called the host. And the host is Business Central, FNO, and CE. And because it's a single document and it's only a set of instructions, it's super quick. And the bonus of it is that it's completely transactional. So meaning it starts with a transaction, does its thing, and if it ever runs into an error, it rolls back the complete transaction like nothing happened. So I feel that's a big benefit, because that means that there are no orphan data in the host system. So that's the next one. Total cost of ownership. That's what I mentioned. During implementation phase, if you are required to write a new fields or tables, you don't want to continuously say no. But I feel the real power of Cloud Connect is that you can achieve it via configuration. So it's not like you need a customization, you need the functional design, developer does its thing, gets delivered, maybe a bit of rework, then more action. That's the usual things. No, just configuration in order to set up your or field mapping. And we truly feel that it really helps for the total cost of ownership of the solution. Yeah, it's a pretty recent platform, as in we started back in February 2022, so it's already 4 years now. And from the start, we started with automated testing, and I feel that's the true power of it. As in, we started it from the get-go. We picked automated testing software which works, and I feel the beauty of automated testing is it's a continuous thing. And even Cloud Connect has bugs every once in a while. Dare to say that. But the thing that we do is, it's fine to have a bug. Yeah, is it ideal? No, but it happens. But at least make sure that the automated testing is in place, that the next time something like this happens, it doesn't happen again. And that I feel is a big benefit. And last but not least, I will share the platforms to which we connect in a minute. But I feel due to the architecture that we pick, if we as Experlogix decide to connect to other platforms as well, that could be yet another ERP system, another ECRM system, but also nowadays the Workatos of the world, like iPaaS software. I feel it's definitely the possibility if we as Experlogix feel that we have that need. So those are all the whys. Let's carry on to the supported platforms. I'm not sure if Microsoft in the meanwhile decided to change their names, but here are the latest and greatest ones. So Sales, so CE, F&O, Business Central, and the most recent addition is Salesforce. So those are all the current platforms that we support. And onwards to the architecture. In this case, I put architecture in quotes because it's super light and definitely not technical. But I feel it at least proves the points and gives a feeling for what Cloud Connect is all about. So I'm the product owner. I work together with the development team, and we have experts when it comes to sales, F&O, BC, and Salesforce working in my team. And what we do as our job is to build software in those systems which have a common language between what we call the host system and the integration API. So we have code to that system that says, okay, here are the following tables. That could be standard tables, custom tables, ISV tables. Those get sent to the integration API. And there's another development team which takes care of the integration API and keeping that up to date and making sure new features are added. And then there's a common connection between the integration API and what we call Process Designer. And Process Designer is the design time tool which we use to set up the link to the tables, fields, and those sort of things. And that's really where the configuration of the platform happens. So that's the application that we built ourselves. A little bit further on the capabilities. What do you get besides the common approach to it? We picked Power Automate within the Microsoft ecosystem, supported CPQ journey. What you see nowadays is CPQ customers doing more and more, and I feel it already started 10 years ago, is that a CPQ journey starts in sales, so in CE, and then the quote gets sent out, and let's assume that the quote gets accepted. Customers wanted to move on from CE to the ERP system. So in this case, typically it's BC or F&O. And what you want to do is you want to carry on the CPQ configuration. You want to first the quote configuration to be linked to the sales order project, whatever that is. and that manufacturing or engineering has the capability to also open up the configurator to add their details to it. So there's just one single point of truth rather than moving those things throughout. I feel it's very powerful. That's the first one. The second one is the ability to save to any table field for standard, custom, and ISV tables. And I'm repeating myself now, but it's again done via configuration, not customization. And I feel it's a true power of this platform. The best addition, or I feel the best test of the concept that we built together is the release product variant. It's a data entity for F&O. And pretty recently, I'm talking years ago, is when Microsoft decided to add a new product dimension called the product version ID. And because in the way that we built our software, which was done in a very generic way, it just scanned the data entities and then decided, hey, there's a new key to this table. We need to add this without any work being done on the integration side, host side, or in process designer. And I feel that really attests to the power of this software. And that's really all I had to say when it comes to capabilities. I believe it's now turn for Elena to speak about the customer case study.
Absolutely. I invited Elena to tell something more about a case study called a company called Alpla. It's a company specialized in innovative packaging systems. So yeah, I would like to give the floor to you, Elena.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I'm going to start with presenting the agenda, so maybe we can already go to the next slide. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to start to talk about Alpla, a few of the key facts, and then we're going to talk about their initial situation before implementing our CPQ solution, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the pain points. Then we're going to discuss their CPQ requirements, and then we're going to discuss why CPQ was specifically relevant for them. Then we're going to see their CPQ solution in action, not in the sense of a live demo, but I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into their setup. And then I summarize the benefits they've achieved, and then I try to summarize for all of you the key learnings that could be relevant. And in the end, we have a short summary and a call to action. And we could go to the next slide. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So Alpla, as you've already heard, is a global packaging leader, and they have 25,000 employees globally. So a really big company, and I find them a really interesting case. Their setup is very complex, but as you will later see, the benefits that we've achieved for them is quite, they are quite substantial and have quite transformed them, especially also in terms of the digital transformation journey. They're in plastic packaging, and they're specialists in closures and bottles, and they have very customizable solutions as well, which is one of their strong suits. And another thing that's really important for them is sustainability, which you can see because they have a lot of recycling sites and a very big capacity for recycling in general. The market segments that they touch upon are beverages, beauty, home care, food, pharma, and industrial. And then I think we're ready to move on to the initial situation and the pain points. So initially, their situation was very fragmented. They were partially still relying on manual Excel tables. And basically, their entire process was lacking integration. They were also suffering from data silos, and the data quality that they were working with was also not the best. And they had a lot of manual steps that their employees and the teams that were working on the process were under. And basically there were a lot of steps and a lot of redundant work. Their current setup was a legacy CRM that was on-premise. They were using Dynamics 2016, and when it comes to their pricing logics, that was also very hard-coded. So it was very hard when it came to market changes to react to that. And also, the system didn't really allow any updates. And we can summarize it in a sense that their infrastructure setup was quite frozen. And the business complexity that they were facing was because they have such customized products, a lot of the calculations needed to be done very detailed. And with their old setup, it was very hard to reflect that and to work around that properly. And they had a lot of complex pricing factors that needed to be considered as well. And for their entire setup, there were long lead times if they wanted to change any setup, anything IT-wise. And a lot of the employees had to compensate, with a lot of manual labor efforts. And then I'm ready to move on to the requirements for the CPQ. So for the requirements, for them, it was very important to have an integrated ERP and CRM to support all the critical business functions. And like we've seen before, because their infrastructure was so frozen, it was really important for them that they were able to scale and optimize their global operations, especially because of their complex setup, and to kind of like reach the next level, so to say. And they were also really, as I've laid out before, their pricing setup has been very complex. So for them, it was very, very important to have an accurate pricing logic, but also the automation of their bill of material and their routing. And in the end, one of the reasons why they went for us as well was that we have the similar integration, obviously, as a Microsoft partner with Dynamics, with the Dynamics product suite. And then I think we can go to the next slide as well. So to touch a little bit upon why CPQ was important for them, the guided selling feature has been very good for their complex products and also for their customer-specific products, like I said, because the need to customize the products is quite high for them. The automated pricing feature and the ability to use dynamic variables has also been really beneficial for them. Like I said, again, the integration with CRM and ERP to automatize the lead to order process, and standardization of the workflows was also really important for them. And like I've touched on before, there were a lot of manual errors that happened with the previous more complex setup. So a reduction of errors was also very important for them. And they really wanted to make sure that their quote generation would go a lot faster, because initially they sometimes had cases where it took days to finalize a quote, which is quite a lot. So with the current setup, they have been able to reduce that to a couple of minutes. And they also really wanted to make sure, like I said, that they reach the next level and enable digital transformation. And in that regard, again, that they're just able to scale their operations further. And then let's go to the part of CPQ in action. So for them, the lead to order workflow is with the lead generation and the qualification, then the accurate configuration and pricing, then the approval workflows and the quote generation, and for them, the ERP integration with the real-time synchronization was also really important. And then I think we can go to the benefits they've achieved after implementing our CPQ solution. So one thing that was really important for them that has really made a big difference is that they were able to streamline their sales team and the efforts of the sales team, due to the fact that the quoting is a lot more fast and a lot more accurate with a new setup, and the focus part of unifying collaboration across teams between sales and operations teams was also very important for them. And then, like we touched upon before, they wanted to reduce manual tasks and errors, which we've achieved by automatizing their processes. And also that the fact that we were able to embed business rules to ensure consistency has also been a game changer for them. And yeah, I already said it a couple of times, but the scalability has also made a really big impact for them, because they are now really in a dynamic setup where they're also able to scale their future growth as a company a lot more, and also adapt a lot better to market changes. And what they've also reported on, what we're quite proud of, is that they said that their customer experience enhanced and that they have more customer satisfaction with the updated quoting process. And then I will go to the next slide and briefly touch on the key learnings that I've summarized for you. So what I took from this is that it's really, really important to pay a lot of attention to the discovery phase. So to really make sure that you invest the time initially, to really make sure that you understand the prospect. And it's also important that both sides really are on the same page. And of course, the discovery, I call it discovery phase, not discovery meeting. Of course, it's not just one meeting. It's a lot more, and it's a lot more important. And I think it's really important to validate the logics from both sides, so that you can just make sure that there's that you're as best aligned as possible. And then, of course, CPQ implementation is, can take a long time. It can be very complex. So it's really important to have transparent communication, also on releases, bugs, timelines, etc. Obviously, we're all trying to do our best to sell our solution, but overall for relationship building, etc., I think that is something that has been important, because also with Alpla, the implementation part definitely took some time, but there's still a happy customer because we just maintained a really good communication and relationship with them. And then one thing that could be relevant is that you assign a single point of contact who's kind of in charge of the project from the company itself. You don't need to call it a success manager, of course, maybe also kind of like an internal champion or whatever you want to call it. But that could be something also in the sense of that one person feels reliable, and that could also make it a lot easier for you to just have one person that you're communicating with. Obviously, that's not possible in every case, but generally that could be one tip that you could try. And then to also make sure that you focus on the calculation logic before the UI design. I think that's something that I touched upon with the discovery phase, just to make sure that this is all aligned and all expectations are clear. And of course, there's kind of like a shared responsibility for the project management with all key parties involved. And then, escalating early if risk arise, especially when it comes to time, quality, budget, or also factors where projects could, suddenly fall over. I think it's very important as well to maintain control of the sales cycle and just of the project in general. And then I think we can go to the last slide. Yeah, so just to summarize this one more time very briefly, we've seen Alpla's journey from a fragmented processes to an integrated CPQ solution that works very well now, and they've achieved their main goals, which were efficiency, accuracy, and scalability. And the CPQ and the Dynamics 365 integration delivered measurable value for them. And for you, you can apply these insights, plan everything thoroughly, and do the best you can to align all stakeholders. And of course, always plan next steps ahead, no matter if it's demos, discussions, or any collaboration opportunities. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elena. Great story. Very inspiring. Very nice to see that we have such a happy customer. I think we can go to the next slide and the next topic then. And that's events. That's also the last topic. Of course, we also have the Q&A, but at the beginning of the year, I always would like to share the events where we can probably meet you. So if we go to the next slides. Experlogix is coming to you also in 2026. This is the event list of events that we are going to participate, sponsor, or just visit. As you can see, we will visit most companion events, but we will also be present at the Hannover Messe, European Collaboration Summit. That's also in Germany. This year we will go to Dynamics Minds for the first time. That's in Slovenia. It's also a big event where a lot of our partners are joining. Then Dynamics Con, of course, we will be present at Directions EMEA with a booth. I heard that in September there will also be a Directions for Finance Supply Chain Management. We still have to hear a little bit more about it, but I also plan to go there as well. And then at the end of the year, we also have the IMCP, for example, and the D365 Summit in Portugal. And for Dutch partners, we will be present at all Dutch Dynamics events. So that's the list of our events. Of course, we are also curious to know which events you will visit. So after this webinar, we will send out a survey with this list to ask you, okay, which ones are you participating, so we can meet each other in person during those events. That is all about the events. So I think now it's time to jump to the Q&A. I think my goal would be to have, let's say, one question per speaker. So maybe I can start with a question we received on the implementation process, Xando. The question says, which stages of the CPQ implementation process typically create the biggest impact for partners? And how can they maximize efficiency during these phases? You're on mute, Xando.
Good question. That is the solutioning phase, and then typically the workshops. So I want to stress CPQ is not an ERP or CRM system. So we need to collaborate really closely with our partners to have an holistic view of all the business processes, so that we aim not to be in each other's garden, so to mention. So during the workshops, we have agenda topics where we also aim especially at the integration. So a specific topic could be which tables to write to, or it would be helpful then that an expert from the partner, a technical architect, would join and share the input we need. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Then one question for you, Arjen. How does Experlogix Cloud Connect help partners streamline integrations, and what recent enhancements provide the most value?
Like the question. Give it a bit of thought. Yeah, I just want to, I guess, reiterate what I also already mentioned during my part. I feel really where the power sits when it comes to Experlogix integration is the fact that you don't have to do customization, but rather deliver right into various fields and tables via configuration. I feel this is the one and only power, and that makes the lives of partners so much easier. When it comes to most recent addition, which also comes to mind, right, and also delivers value, I feel it's a pretty easy one. It's one that we delivered for F&O. Because I mentioned during my presentations, you have a CE quote, you go in CE and you go into the ERP system. And for F&O, you have something similar, right? Which we're all aware of. As in you have an F&O sales quote and an F&O sales order. And in addition, that we've done a year ago, maybe a bit longer, because it's a pretty new framework, is that there's an event in F&O if you go from a F&O sales quotation to an F&O sales order. And before, you would need to do all sorts of bits and pieces with Power Automate to have it carry over the configuration from sales quotation to sales order. And now it's part of the standard. And I really feel that we listen to the feedback from customers as partners and also act on it. And that's that's my take on it.
Okay, thank you, Arjen. One question for you, Elena. What key takeaways from the customer case study can partners apply in their own engagements?
Yeah, good question. I think we already touched upon that. I already touched upon that a little bit on one of the slides. So what really is top of mind for me always was the discovery phase, because I think, that is just really important to have this alignment and to really take your time to really, really make sure that you understand all the requirements. Of course, sometimes not everything is set in stone at the beginning of a process, because like I said before, CPQ processes can be very complex as well, but to always be in alignment about that, and also to not be afraid to still question certain things if they are unclear later on in the process. I think that is very important. And another thing is kind of like this timeline management or stakeholder engagement, just to make sure that everyone is engaged and to just try to kind of own the process as best as possible, because I think that ensures agency and just makes sure that there's more success later on, and that would probably allow you to win more projects long term, if you are more proactive rather than sitting in the chair, if that makes sense.
Great, thank you very much, Elena. Of course, there will be much more questions maybe from your side, from the partner side. Please feel free to reach out to me, of course, with questions about the topics that we discussed or presented today. I think we have come to the end of this webinar. Thank you for joining. Special thanks to the speakers, to Xando, Elena, Arjen, Arjen, and of course also Caitlin for organizing. So thank you again, and we hope to see you during a future partner call, of course, or during our next partner webinar. So thank you for now. Have a nice evening, and see you soon.